Hey guys, Blue Collar Stacks here. Just got done with another day, long day. I've got a couple of shorts calling some people out. The first thing I want to do is have a small apology to Silver Dragons. I know you probably won't see this video, but it doesn't matter. I want to put this out there. I confused him with some other people that came out. I went through and looked at videos over the past year from Silver Dragons, and he's really, been pretty good about not over sensationalizing. Yeah, does he say, hey, that Silver could be doing this, could be doing that? Yeah, but his thumbnails are pretty tame, and he does go around to shops and he talks about how to properly stack and not to overspend and things like that. I know we all got to put like that thumbnail out there that catches your attention, and he does that, but he doesn't be like, hey, Comex is gonna fail and blah 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 and all this other stuff. So Silver Dragons, if you do see this, I did mention you in my shorts. I am gonna pull those down right after I do this, because I'd rather just make another short without his name in it. But I'm gonna do the right thing and say, hey, Silver Dragons, right on. I watch your videos, and it was a mistake on my part. So that's number one. Number two, Salivate Metals. There's still some stuff there. I mean, it's not like doom and gloom, buy it now before it's too late, but it's pretty close. It's walking the line. Just in the past month, the thumbnails are like Silver Disaster and is the Comex breaking, and this is your final warning. Those are the things that are coming up there. Silver about to explode or whatever. And then he did have this thing a couple of weeks ago. It was like, hey, is Silver gonna drop like this, the peace deal and the war and like Trump's deadline and all that stuff? And he kind of made it sound that he never said this, but it was implied that to make people think that, hey, you need to sell this weekend because it's gonna drop. He didn't say those exact words, but that was the inference of the video that he had. And then, Silver kind of recovered a little bit. It dropped down into 68. It was like 72. It dropped into like 68 and then completely recovered. So was he right? Yeah, a little bit. But, then it went all the way up to like 82 that same week. So, like, anybody that would have looked at that video, and Ron's Basement had a video saying the same thing. Like, we're about to have a disaster coming. That kind of thing. And I guarantee you there were people that went out there and like, I gotta sell before it drops too much. And they probably did. And then it went back up, and now it's back down a little bit. So that's just what Silver does. It's volatile. It is, but in the long run, it does this. Maybe this, in the long run, kind of like that, with a bunch of this in the middle. So, he's not as bad as the others, but he does have those kind of like, oh no, thumbnails, and then he puts in a lot of information that makes people like either think you have to buy now or you have to sell now. So, harmful in my opinion. I want to give props where props is due. And Silver Seeker. Man, Silver Seeker, if you guys want good information about stacking, about coin collecting, about, everything, man, he's got this app that tracks, spot price, premiums, all kinds of things. And he has great videos. He calls dealers about, like, what people are buying and selling. He just gives you information. That's what Silver Seeker does. You want to follow somebody? That's the person to follow. Don't follow me. I'm an idiot. I just buy a little bit of silver and gold here and there, and I listen to some news, and I tell people like what I know, and if you look at my videos, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Is like saying, hey, if you want to get silver this way, this is how you do it. You know, do I know everything? No, I don't know 1% of anything. Okay, but Silver Seeker is freaking awesome and gives you the tools. He'll answer questions if you put stuff on his videos. He'll answer you. So I want to give props to him. Coin Help You, man. The Coin Help You. He's got a website and he'll answer questions too. If you want, to send a picture of something, he'll be on it. Yeah, the guy's an awesome. He's a dealer, and he tells you what he thinks. He gives you information. He's got no secrets. Those two channels, in my opinion, are the best two channels on the internet when it comes to stacking and numismatic coin collecting, things like that. The information those guys do, the help that they give, if those are the only two that you listen to, forget me. If those are the only two that you listen to, you will do well and you will be successful in stacking and coin collecting. All right. Now we're going to get to the bad. And I told you the worst one out there, Ron's Basement. Ron's Basement. I'm going to read the last week headlines. And you can go to his thing. If you've seen him, you know what his thumbnails look like. He's like, got a bow tie. He's got sensational artwork, all this other stuff. And the latest one, $500 silver alert. Okay. Boom. And then he goes into how this freaking bank said this and the other side said that and blah, blah, blah. But, he's making you think that, oh man, I need to buy now and everything I can, scoop up everything I can, because it's going to get to 500 and then I'm not going to be able to afford it. The next one, get this, $28,000 gold. That's what it says on the thumbnail. I'm not kidding you. You can see this. $28,000 gold. Okay, we're sitting right now about 4,700 plus some change. Okay, if you had a guarantee, like a crystal ball saying $28,000 gold, somebody that looks like, the Bank of America is saying this and blah, blah, blah is saying that, and we could see 10,000 by this summer, we can see $20,000 by the end of the year, and this is the kind of stuff that he's saying, and then he backs it up and he goes, well, I'm not saying this, but, I'm not saying this, and if you want to get some metal, you go here and blah, 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 and I'm sponsored and this, but I'm not telling you to do it. But $28,000 gold, and then you got right after that another video that says $6,000 gold. Well, which is it, Ron's Basement? Is it 6,000 or 28,000? Which one are we supposed to believe? Either one's a fucking bump up. All right. And if you go back a couple of weeks, he's got one that says gold in the 3,000, like $3,100 gold. And the gold was at that time, touching 5,000. So if you see $3,100 gold, and it's at what, you own gold and you're seeing $3,100 in a headline and he's there going, what are you going to do? Oh, should I sell the gold now before the dip? Should I do that? Oh my God, what am I supposed to do? This guy knows what he's doing. He's got gold all around him. He's been doing it forever. Sensational. He's talking about banks and stuff like that, predicting a drop, or the war causing this huge, tank in gold and silver. What are you going to do? Now, seasoned people that have been doing this for a while aren't going to fall for it. But there's a lot of people that just got in the past year, the past 6 months, the past month. People are like, oh, it's dipping down. I just started getting these videos on my thing. Do I need to buy? Do I need to sell? Do I need to do all this stuff? Should I mortgage the house? Should I buy it with credit cards? All this other stuff. The answer is no. Don't do any of that crap. Okay? But, it's like, again, I'll say this again. It's like your savings account. When you're done paying all your bills, when everything's taken over and you have enough fiat currency to where if you lost your job or if an emergency happened, that you have reserves, both in your safe and in the bank, and then you have money left over, then you start putting it into precious metals and other investments. It can be a lot of different things. Don't be into one thing. You know, SpaceX is coming up here pretty soon. I'm going to get in on that. You know, I'm not going to mortgage my house, and I'm not going to sell all my silver and gold, and I'm not going to, put everything in my bank account into it, but I'm going to invest. It's called diversification, hedging. You put a little here and there, and everything, if this one goes down, that one should go up. If they all go down, that which can happen, you hedge it into other things like your savings, like fiat, like property, commercial property, income property, things like that. You diversify, but these guys are like, silver and gold, everything else is garbage, and the next one that Ron's Basement has right after 6,000 gold is $303 silver. Okay. And he's making it sound like it's imminent. It's got like a little arrow that does this, like we're about to see this. Get in, get your silver, buy it now before it's too late. And then in the next breath, I'm not giving you financial advice. Well, yeah, you are. You're not physically coming out and saying, go buy it now, it's going to be too late, but you're inferring it by your thumbnails, by what you're saying, the information you're giving, all that stuff. I've seen how many followers you got and how many views you get. People are watching it, and they're taking, what you say as gospel. And, the next one is going to be Wall Street Bullion. Every single one of this guy's thumbnails predicts, like stuff here. I got 3 here, the past 3 in the past week. Number 1, this is it. Silver price to break records. And then it's got the arrows and the silver bars and all that stuff going off of it. This is it. Silver price to break records. The next one, like right after that, price alert. Will it plunge to 20? Like literally, he just said it's going to break records. Was that the record it's going to break? Is this the huge plunge? Which is it? Wall Street Bullion. Is it going to plunge to 20, or is it breaking records, skyrocketing? Because that's what the arrow said. Is that it's going to break records. The next one, right before the price alert, $300 silver price is coming. Okay, that's a declaration. $300 silver price is coming. Here's the shocking reason why. Okay, if you're new to this, or if you haven't been through a lot of this stuff, or even if you are and you've seen some things and it's like, oh, this guy's bringing on these experts, and that's what he does. He brings on these guys from Wall Street. He brings on these analysts and stuff, and none of these guys are right. They can say, oh, if a ship hits a mine in the straits, or if a bird flies out of somebody's butt, silver's going to skyrocket. Or and then they say, but if the lines do this, and you have a Head and Shoulders and all this other stuff, and every gap needs to be filled, all these official sounding words, it's going to do this. They don't know. But I will tell you this. This is a certain that silver has done this. When I first started stacking, buying silver was $2 in the 90s. Okay, and it's 70 something, 74, 75 right now. Okay, and that's in 30 years. It's less than 30 years actually. So if you pull back on the graph looks like this, and then if you go right up into it, like straight up, close, it does a lot of this. But it follows this. So what that means is that you don't buy silver and gold for $2. You don't buy it for 2 years. Okay? You buy it, you put your money into it, and then if you need it for another appreciable asset, then you can sell what you need to get that asset. And then once that appreciable asset makes you money, you put it back into your savings and you put it back into precious metals. And then over time, it does this while the dollar does this. Okay? It's just history. And I don't see anything that's going to change that in the near future. So don't expect that if you buy silver and gold that in a month you're going to be rich. It's not going to happen. It will not happen. Even if you bought, $10,000, $20,000 in silver a year ago when it was in 30s and sold it when it was 115, okay, so if you had $10,000 now, okay, you bought it 130, you sell it 115, okay, great. You spent $10,000, now you can sell it with, loss of premium and all that stuff. Now you have about $35,000, $37,000. Is that going to change your life? It might, make you up a couple of bucks here and there, and that's great. But it's over time. It's hedging against a depreciating dollar. That's what gold and silver are. Okay, don't treat it as this get-rich-quick scheme. It's not going to do that. You will not be a billionaire or a millionaire by buying, a little bit of gold and a little bit of silver here, even if you put a bunch into it. Just stay the course. Just small investments, month over month, what you can afford, and then also understand that it has value. You're not buying a Corvette, that's going to get, pooped on and the paint's going to depreciate and all that stuff. You're buying something that in a pinch, I just did this a couple weeks ago. I have a commercial project going on. I needed a little bit extra money for deposit. Instead of going into my savings, I sold a small amount of silver and I was able to cover, and it was awesome, and then since then I've spent another probably $500 on silver, just kind of re-putting it in because I've got that in. I made some money in some other places. I had a little extra, and I'm putting it right back into that. But it was there when I needed it. I was able to liquidate it literally in, a couple of minutes. I grabbed what I needed, some big bars, liquidated it, got some cash, deposited it, made my deposit. It was great. That's what silver and gold are for. Okay? Going on to the next one, International Stacker. Man, this guy is just... He's a showman. He's a game show host. That's what International Stacker is, a game show host. He's going in, he plays these cool little videos, he has these updates, and he's constantly saying, the bankers are attacking, the COMEX is this, and blah, 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 and it's running out, and China's buying everything. All this other stuff. A couple of hit thumbnails. Chaos is coming. And he's got this guy going, chaos, and there's little silver and gold bars everywhere. There's going to be chaos. That's one of the latest ones. Before that, silver to skyrocket. Another one of those things with the arrows going straight up. Silver to skyrocket. Silver, before that, silver to explode. Explosion imminent. That's another one. Explosion is imminent. Big market crash. Right before explosion is imminent, a couple weeks ago, big market crash. And, doom and gloom, thumbnails, all this other stuff going on. And again, turn these guys off. They're no better than John A.G. or, they're no better than the Asian guy, who literally that thing is the same video over and over and over again. Literally just saying, talking about what silver and gold is. Literally talking about how the COMEX is running out. Literally talking about how China is taking all the silver and gold. Literally talking about how all the silver and gold can't leave China. Just all these little things. And then capping it off with, I've got this secret letter, that nobody else has, and I'm not going to produce it, and I can't tell you who said it, or anything like that, but somebody inside the system is saying that, this doom and gloom is happening, and that silver is going to be $1,000, $2,000. These guys are no better than that guy. None of them. They're not good for stacking. They're not good for numismatic. They're not good for the price of silver. They don't control. They're not giving you any good information that's going to help you make a decision. They're not telling you anything that should or would change how you stack, what you stack, and any of that stuff. Right? None of their predictions have come true. Mostly they're talking about something that's already happened. And then saying, oh, it's crashed $10 today. This is what happened, and this is why it could go down to 61, but here's why it could go to 150. Blah blah blah, and it's like they're literally giving you no good information. None of them. Like I said before, I confused Silver Dragons. I do apologize. He's a good guy. He's got some good information. He goes in, he talks to coin shops, which is awesome. He travels around. Silver Dragons is a good one to watch. Sensationalize a little bit, that's fine, whatever. But I didn't see anything in the past 6 months of his videos that would be dangerous information. In fact, again, it's pretty good information. He's asking the coin shop owners. He's going to coin shows. He's doing a lot of stuff. He's got his hand poured stuff, and that's awesome. I got a lot of hand poured stuff too. I've got the bullion. I've kind of come off of bullion a little bit. I've got a decent stack of it to do what I need it to do. So I've really been into. I don't know how anybody else is gonna feel about this, but I've been into Morgans lately. Trying to get those things for way under, and I found some really good deals. I've been putting together some decent sets of eagles, a bunch of different finishes, years, things like that. It's just kind of one of those things where I'm literally not spending thousands on these things. I'm not buying a key date Carson City in MS67. That will never happen. I mean, even if I won the lottery or something like that, which don't play the lottery. You're not going to win. Put that $10 into silver gold. This is not financial advice. But yeah, you'll do way better. Just stacking silver and gold and stuff like that, or putting it in a savings account than putting it into freaking the lottery. But even if I did find a ticket on the road or something like that and won $100 million in the lottery, I would probably not. I'll tell you right now, I would not get a $200,000 Carson City. It's just not what I would do. I might spend $500, $600, $700 on it because I like to look at them, and it's not a bad investment. If you look at 30 years ago what some of these coins were selling for, they're not outpacing the actual price of silver, but they are outpacing savings account 401ks. So if you had bought 18, I think it's in 1889 San Francisco, in MS66, 30 years ago, that thing was $100 or $80 or something like that. You could have gotten one in good condition, and right now it's $700 or $900. So it's done about 8 to 9 times what they're actually selling for. So I mean, it is an appreciable thing, but it's almost no better than trading cards. It is a little bit because trading cards are based off of Not a lot of 25-year-olds are salivating over a Babe Ruth rookie card or a Mickey Mantle rookie card. It's guys my age and older that, like have the money, that are billionaires, that are picking those things up. So it's, investing one of those, not great, but those things are generational. Whereas numismatics, some of these are 140, 150 years old, and they're appreciating in value. People value them for their age and for their scarcity, for their mintage, things like that. So it's not a bad thing to get into, but I'm just into them really because, like I said, I built a pretty good stack of silver and gold, and so if I need to liquidate, if I have an emergency, I have that there. And so now I'm kind of slowing down. I'm still buying bullion, both gold and silver, but I'm kind of getting on to, I've been buying pre-33 gold. Like I said, the Morgans, couple of peace dollars, and this one right here is probably going to get some of you guys some Roman stuff. How many times do you think about the Roman Empire, right? Anyways, but yeah, that's kind of what I've gotten into. I'm not telling you to get into that, but it's what interests me now. So, and if you're interested in that, again, Coin Help You. And if you have a question about something, what you should be buying, how much you should be paying for, the finish, how to identify things, go to Coin Help You. And that guy is very knowledgeable, very friendly, will answer all your questions, all that stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that. Sorry, this is a long video. I do apologize. If you made it this far, thank you. But yeah, just listen to what I say, man. Those guys are not good. They're not good. They make a lot of money, and there's nothing wrong with that. Congratulations, but you're doing it the wrong way. That's all I gotta say about that.